Hello everybody. Today we are going to discuss a very important topic, that is state in Asian and African societies. The objective of this module would be to understand what is the role of the state in these societies. The emphasis would also be to understand what kind of societies are there in Asia and Africa in which the state has to perform a very challenging role. The state rather has to perform a juggernaut in which it has to balance the various divisions which are there within a society. The Asian society has a feudal setup. It is divided internally on the basis of caste, religion, region, language. Of course, it is parochial with a very strong feudal setup which is taking years to break. Women do not enjoy liberty or equality to the extent of their counterparts in the Western countries. The influence of religion is very strong. The rituals, the past, the history of the community, the traditional barriers are very strong to break. Rather, the people feel very proud about their about their past, which they feel is very rich. Though there are sociologists, there are political scientists who look down upon certain rituals, upon certain traditions, upon certain traits of a community. But there are certain conservative people who are very proud about their rich past, which might appear gory to most of us. They are very happy in their kinship, in their kingship, in their way of controlling the people, the other people of the community who want to develop. Now, the state, this is about the society in Asia and Africa. What is the state? The state is an organized formal institution which should have four essential elements, that is population, fixed territory, government and sovereignty. India before 15th August 1947 and India after 15th August 1947. From a colony, we moved on to being an independent country because we got sovereignty on 15th August 1947. The state has a legal coercive power. It has the police, it has the army to maintain law and order. It has a certain way to formulate laws, that is the parliament. It has legislature. The state has a legislature, executive and judiciary. The judiciary is there to see if any law is being violated. It is there to protect the constitution of the country, to safeguard the constitution of a country, and to give the state the legal support for the smooth functioning of the society. The state has its bureaucracy. It has its own set of rules, regulations to run the society. The society is an older entity and the state is a recent development. The society then is a larger entity and it encompasses all the activities of an individual. But the society in Asia and Africa is a fragmented society. The state, on the other hand, is a recent development and it tries to bring out unity into this fragmented society. It tries to work into bringing cohesion into that fragmented society. In the society, there is a hierarchy which is unspoken. There are elders who who make all the rules for the society. The Khap Panchayats in Haryana, for example, is one such informal institution in organization in the society. The rules of such societies are very rigid. They are not flexible. Though with the with each passing generation, with the influx of technology, education, awareness, these traditional barriers are breaking down, but still at a very, very slow rate. The process is very gradual. The state, on the other hand, in the Asian and African societies, is a welfare state which is talking more and more about improving the society, improving the living standard of the people, and giving the best to the people, and trying to mitigate the differences between the haves and the have nots, between the rich and the poor. In the societies of Asia and Africa, conventions are very, very important. They are passed verbally, orally from one generation to the other, and at times they are adhered to, they are respected even more than laws. Usually, a convention is converted into a law because the state knows that the conventions are very, very easy. If it is made into a law, there are less chances of its violation. The state in Asian society and African society is still evolving. It is a new concept. It is dominated by the politicians who are the political executive, and the bureaucrats who are the permanent executives. The political system or the state is dominated by a local elite, and all these people, it may be the politicians, the bureaucrats, or the local elites, are driven by greed. They instill a fear into the minds of the masses, and that is how they prevent the equal distribution of justice. Unlike Mahatma Gandhi, who talked about social justice, unlike Mahatma Gandhi, who talked about dismantling the Congress so that India could start from scratch, and there would not be vested interest, and the Western interest would not be able to flourish or would not be able to consolidate their hold over the resources. The state in post-colonial societies in Asia is dominated by the streak of capitalism, which is authoritarian in nature. China has tight control. The Chinese state has tight control over the society of China. Rather, there is no difference between the state and the society. Myanmar or Burma, where the army generals were in power for quite a number of years, again controls the society. You have the military junta. It is called the military junta, which is in power. You have Pakistan. The state is controlled or dominated by Punjabis. The Punjabis are in power in the military as bureaucrats and as politicians. And out of all these, it is the army which holds the political system at ransom for many times. We've had General Parvez Musharraf, General Zia, General Ayub Khan, General Yahya Khan, who have at different times come and consolidated their hold not only over the political system but over the society also. In most of these developing countries, there is a patron-client relationship in which the leaders act as patrons to the various followers and active local leaders, and the leaders take pride, or they consider it very essential to distribute favors, obligations to people till the grassroots level, so that they can maintain their hold over the political system. And this all happens because in these states the formal institutions are very weak. They have not been able to evolve, or they have not been allowed to evolve, maybe because of the local elite or because of the emergence of a charismatic leader, or because of the hold of a particular party or the hold of a particular group of people who do not want the country to develop, because when the country will develop and they'll have to share the dividends, then there will be other people clamoring for more power, clamoring for more share in the development of whatever have been there, because whatever has the country has reaped because of the development. So there are a group of people who have been dominating, or who like to dominate over the country so that they can keep power, wealth and status to themselves. The Asian societies are caught in a web of deceit. They are caught in a web of corruption, nepotism, vote bank politics, which is so dangerous, which has become so dangerous that it refuses to go away. The Asian societies and the state is caught in a power struggle uh, where uh, uh, where entering politics automatically opens the doors of many advantages for you. Elections are won because of money power and muscle power, which are used liberally during elections, though the election commission takes all precautions that the effect of these is mitigated. The presence of money and muscle power in India is a big bane for the Indian political system. But in Pakistan, it is the military which calls the shots, and that is a curse for the Pakistan's political system. So, besides the corruption, nepotism, vote bank politics, you have corruption which has permeated each and every level of the society as well of the state, which is holding the political system and not letting it develop. We can continue about the problems of Asian societies. It is marred by red tapeism. It is marred by the ill effects of religion, region, where we have riots. The countries lack in basic infrastructure, but the people who turn into mob to protest do not shy away from breaking public property, from damaging public property, which amounts to losses of crores. The bureaucrats have a firm hold on the political system of the country, and they're not ready to give up their hold. Red tapeism was a big curse for Indian politics and the Indian economy till the 1990-91, when the Indian economy, Indian market was open to multinational corporations, when the multinational corporations started pouring into India, and that was another step of liberalization, privatization, and globalization. So there are lack of basic facilities, there's lack of infrastructure. Whatever infrastructure is made is not maintained. It is damaged during riots, during protests, during strikes and dharnas. Among the societies in Asia, we've talked about India, we've talked about Pakistan. Afghanistan is another problem, a problem which refuses to be settled. The society in Afghanistan is divided into different tribes and clans. Once upon a time, women enjoyed a lot of liberty in Afghanistan, but now there is poor status of women in Afghanistan. The Taliban, the Islamization, the Islamic State, they have wreaked havoc on the people of Afghanistan. In other countries like Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, we have the marginal, and India, of course, we have some people who are marginalized. They are not able to be absorbed in the process of development. Poverty and illiteracy are the two big curses of the societies in Asia. But the people are eager for development, but development is not coming, and it's being delayed. So rising expectations have led to rising frustrations. With the passage of time, people are losing faith in the system. They are losing their patience. The delay in delivering the goods to the people is tantamount to denial to the people, for people are being denied of being delivered the various benefits for which they are toiling day in and day night, for which they had been promised before independence, when the common people came out on the streets in India, for example, to fight for their independence, for their freedom during the non-cooperation movement, the civil disobedience movement, and Quit India movement. Wealth continues to remain in a few hands in not only Asia but in the African societies too. Africa comes with its own set of problems. You have traditional practices ruling the roost. You have tribal warfare. You have differences in tribes, differences among tribes, which leads to a lot of ill will among the tribes. The advantage of which is taken by the vested interest, by the multinational corporations. Religion, of course, continues to be a very, very big influencing factor for the people. The conversions in Africa are taking its toll. The people are not very happy with the conversions to Christianity taking place. The occult practices, the rituals, are something which the West does not like, but the they are they are the spirit behind the tribes, and the people do not want to leave them. Besides this, the apartheid, which is racial discrimination, discrimination on the basis of color, which makes the individual lose his self-respect, dignity, is another curse. The society in Africa is fragmented. People are divided into tribes, into clans, and the resources are there, but there is mismanagement of resources, or the resources are in the hands of a few local elite. So when the majority of the people are not getting their due, it only leads to frustration, and it leads to increase in criminal activities. Besides this, besides crime, drug trafficking, and people living in poverty and getting caught in the debt trap, and subsequently in drugs and other criminal activities, has become a vicious cycle in the societies of Africa. Among the people, there is malnutrition, poverty. Uh, the people are steeped into superstitions. The hierarchy is very strong in the tribal societies. The land belongs to the tribe, and the individual's interests are subservient to the tribe's authority, which leads to a lot of leads a lot of blame game among the tribes, within the tribes, and it is taken as a cause of underdevelopment, because the tribes take a decision not to entertain a multinational corporation, but the land is slowly taken away from the tribes because of the intervention of the state. The state in African society is not playing a very, very positive role. There are lack of basic facilities, lack of infrastructure in Africa. The state is prodded on by the rich people, by the elite, by the bureaucrats, by the political leaders, who keep all the dividends with themselves and deny it to the masses. They are advancing their own interests, interest of their own family, disregarding the interest of the citizens of Africa, and the country is marked by corruption and nepotism. We cannot find leaders of the stature of Nelson Mandela any longer. The leaders in Africa are too much into hoarding wealth. They lack a political vision. They are not rational. They are not enlightened about the problems of the country, problems of their own people. They are not experienced. They do not want to learn. Rather, they are in power for the pursuit of power itself, or in pursuit of wealth and all what gives them status. The people, the leaders are greedy. They are not mature. So that is why I said we cannot even find one leader of the stature, dignity, grace, and selflessness as Nelson Mandela, who spent years in jail just fighting against the Pretoria regime and all its atrocities. The state in present times in Africa is dominated by the military. Many of the states are authoritarian regimes which do not entertain any feedback by the people, do not like to be criticized, do not like any kind of dissent within their own country. The state has collapsed in many of the countries, in many of the societies in Africa. There's a lack of basic facilities, and the denial is so much that it's bordering on frustration, which leads to violence. This leads to a rise of opportunism, but among the people. It has led to a break in relationship between people in the same within the same tribe, and a sale of their own heritage by some vested interest, and internal conflict among people of Africa. As I've told you before, the advantage of which is being reaped by the developed countries who are in some or the other way interfering in the affairs of the African societies as well as African states. The journey ahead, to summarize, is very long. The state has not been very effective in the Asian and African societies. The idea of welfare state still has to be achieved. It is there in theory, but there's a gap between theory and practice. The local elites hold has to be loosened, and the idea of welfare state and giving basic facilities and improving the infrastructure has to go has to be believed in by all the leaders, by the politicians, by the bureaucrats, by the policy makers, and the people themselves have to be aware that the state is obliged to give all these facilities to them. The state should not give these things to the people as a favor. Rather, it is the duty of the state to deliver the benefits, the goods to its people, whose because of whose mandate they have come to power. So the idea of welfare state has to be made a concrete reality. The deprivation continues in all these societies, in all these states. The rent-seeking behavior of the state continues. This has to be put on a hold. This kind of mentality has to be suspended. There are pockets of deprivation in Asian and African societies, but the state has to play a larger than life role to give the people their due, to manage the society, and to evolve as a mature state, so that the idea of liberty, equality, justice, and fraternity can actually be seen operating in practice. Thank you.